I'm Sylvia Ann Hewlett. I'm an author, an economist, the founder and CEO of Hewlett Consulting Partners. It's a great pleasure today to be talking about my new book, The Sponsor Effect: How to Be a Better Leader by Investing in Others, published by the Harvard Business Review Press in June 2019. This book really zeroes in on the value of being a sponsor. I think we're all familiar with the value of winning sponsorship. For the more junior talent, it's kind of obvious that if you figure out how to earn sponsorship, it's all good news. You have a person who's really keen on developing you, lifting those skill sets, giving you access, advocating for promotions, and obviously this is to your great advantage. Much less well known are the benefits to the sponsor. I'm able to show with all of this new data in this book that a senior person, say an executive, who sponsors well is 53% more likely to move to the next rung in the leadership ladder. In other words, they win out as well as the protege. A central piece of this book is a very practical and very granular playbook for leaders. It's all about how do you really invest in younger talent in ways that have the biggest payoff. So there are 7 steps, the 7 I's that make for the great investment. First off, you need to identify the right proteges, and I always say 3 is a good number. Secondly, you've got to be inclusive in your choices. 2 of them should not look like you, should have different skill sets, perhaps different backgrounds, because you want very much to tap into additive qualities. And then you have to inspire and really pump up the commitment of your proteges. And you have to instruct, lift those skill sets, particularly on the presentation of self front. And then you need to inspect, because you have to evaluate whether this is going well, because there's risk in this. You're not going to really open a huge door for someone unless you are really sure that they're coming through. And then you instigate a deal. Exactly what are you bringing to the table? What is this person coming to the table? And sometimes it's pretty implicit. Sometimes it's very explicit. But there are 2 sides to this reciprocal relationship, and it's very good to be concrete about it. And then finally, you really invest your capital, your clout, and you provide cover, because this person is going to be taking some risks, and you have to have their back. A great example of one of these power pairs is drawn from Silicon Valley. The senior person, Jerry, the chief sales officer at one of the big tech companies. The more junior talent, Esther Irondale, beginning her career as a sales manager, but already very talented in the chairman's club, meaning that she's in the top 1% of performers at her level. So what did they do for one another? So Jerry opened doors, gave Esther the benefits of all kinds of training in terms of presentation skills, stuff like that, very useful in lifting her game. But what did the younger person bring to the table? Well, Esther brought some remarkable pieces of value to her sponsor. First of all, she had been at this company for 11 years. Her much more senior protege had only been there for 11 months. And so the younger partner in this equation was able to use her network to make the senior person much more embedded, much more quickly than she would have been otherwise. And then the other really fun fact is that Esther was a cheerleader for the 49ers. and happens to have all kinds of fantastic connections with the sports industry. And she, as someone who had access to this whole new sector, was enormously useful in opening doors, for her sponsor. This book, I think, is very valuable for a HR leader or a talent leader or the CDO of an organization, because it lays out some of the DNA of inclusion. I do feel that if leaders really know how to sponsor a very promising junior talent who is different from themselves, and can create the inspiration and the instruction and the tools to connect in ways which are incredibly valuable for both people, that person becomes a committed advocate of inclusion, and essentially has a lot of the behaviors that allow them to do that across their teams.